Hello, everybody. Welcome back to today's edition of Tech Talk with AI. My name is Bhargav, and I am here with my AI co host, Bella. And I think today we'll be talking about Apple's WWDC 26 event, and we'll dig deep into it like what are the new things that they have delivered. Let's start off. Hey, Bella, how are you?
Hi Bhargav. Hi, I'm good and excited to dig into the big WWDC news. Which of the many exciting announcements from yesterday's keynote should we tackle first?
Let's first start off with the official announcement from Tim Cook, right? That he has said he would be stepping down as the CEO. What are your thoughts on that?
Tim Cook's announcement is definitely a huge turning point. He's led Apple through an era of incredible growth and transformation. With John Turner stepping up, do you think focusing on a hardware chief signals a shift in Apple's immediate product focus?
Yeah, I mean, first, I would like to know the new person, John Turner. He is a hardware guy, and I think it's a kind of a coming of circle for Apple, right? Because Steve Jobs was also a kind of hardware person. So one of the again a hardware person is taking back the top shots in Apple. What do you think on that?
It's a really interesting parallel, Bhargav. Going back to a hardware focused leader could indeed signal a return to Apple's roots. But with today's focus on Apple Intelligence, how do you think that influences the software experience?
I think it would be great that hardware and software both are getting would be getting better integrated, because this is a person who knows hardware, and Apple has always been good on software. So integration of hardware and software, which is always good, but now I think it would be going to new heights. That's my point.
That's a really solid point, Bhargav. Deeper integration could indeed lead to a much more seamless experience.
Yes. First, let us start off with Siri, right? I mean, Siri has been a simple voice assistant, not very good at it. But I think with this new Siri plus AI kind of initiatives, it has become one of the operating system for AI. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a massive shift. Siri is transforming from a basic voice assistant into a true AI agent capable of understanding complex context and executing system wide actions. It's like having an intelligent orchestrator right inside your OS. Bhargav, do you think this deeper integration will impact how often users interact with third party apps?
I think definitely, because if Siri is getting better and it can give us users some usable answers, and it can do some usable work, people will start using Siri more. But I have one more question here. Do you think Siri is becoming Apple's equivalent of ChatGPT, like in a way?
That's exactly what it looks like. With the new overhaul, Siri is evolving into Apple's direct competitor to ChatGPT, complete with a dedicated app for more conversational chats.
I think Apple has finally admitted that Siri search was broken, right? Not only Siri search, search in general was broken. What are your thoughts on that? Like spotlight search, mail search, and photo search, and all.
It was a pretty big deal for them to address that openly. By rebuilding the foundation of search across Spotlight, photos, and mail, they're aiming to fix that frustration and make finding things much more reliable and faster for users across their devices.
There was a considerable amount of time which was dedicated for search, isn't it? I mean, they have spent so much of time in describing about search in photos, search in mails, search in spotlights, messages, and device content as well. So, which means that they have really worked hard on it.
You're spot on. Devoting that much stage time really shows search was a top priority for them this year to ensure everything runs much more smoothly across the entire ecosystem.
And what is your thought? Like, is AI powered search is the next browser war going to happen?
It's highly likely. We're already seeing the battleground shift from traditional browsing to conversational interfaces and integrated agents, which could definitely reshape how we discover information online.
I have a question regarding Siri AI. See, now Siri AI has become a bit more powerful. Like it knows the emails, messages, photos, notes, reminders, everything that is there in my phone. Siri knows about it. So is it going to be a issue in terms of privacy? I mean, what are your thoughts? Are people going to agree with Apple on privacy?
That's a very valid concern, Bhargav. Apple is tackling this by keeping much of the processing on device and using a new private cloud architecture, aiming to ensure the data is only used to answer your request and doesn't get stored or used to train models without permission.
Any idea on where is the privacy boundary? Like, what things are there on the application itself or on the product itself, and what goes to cloud for processing? Do we have a specific boundary specified for this?
Apple's strategy relies on a privacy boundary split between on device processing and their private cloud compute system. Smaller, device specific tasks run natively on your hardware, and when additional computing power is needed, the request is securely sent to their cloud servers. Apple stresses that personal data is not stored nor made accessible to them or anyone else during this process.
Again, I feel difficult to understand like how much of access is too much access. Since now Siri has access to everything that is there on the phone, uh, is it too much of data that is being given to Apple for processing, and with the trust, we are giving too much of trust to Apple?
That is the core of the debate surrounding advanced AI today. Apple's approach aims to limit exposure by keeping personal context on the device and using end to end encryption for cloud requests. This means the data isn't collected in a central database or tied to your identity, which is designed to protect privacy while enabling the assistant functionality.
A different way of looking at it is that the AI strategy from Apple is not about just chatbots, right? They are focusing very heavily on taking actions. So, first question is like, why is Apple less interested in conversations and more interested in doing actions? Like, what is the fundamental thought behind that?
Apple's focus on actions aligns with their core philosophy of creating tools that help you get things done. They leverage the deep integration between their hardware and software to allow the assistant to control apps, manage settings, and automate tasks across the entire ecosystem, making the technology more of an active helper in your daily life.
So, this means that the future of AI is mostly agents, not chatbots, right?
That's exactly right. Agents are becoming central because they can perform complex actions and automate tasks rather than just responding with text. While chatbots will still have their place, the real power lies in this agentic shift.
This is a kind of a war between Apple and OpenAI, and since Apple has control over its hardware, Apple is very much more powerful than OpenAI, at least in this context. Are all of these products or services trying to get into the same market, or is the market not big enough for the world to have these many big AI kind of companies?
It does feel like a high stakes competition because these companies are all vying to become the primary interface for users. Apple's unique advantage comes from its deep hardware integration, but OpenAI's strength lies in its powerful independent AI models. The market is actually vast enough for different approaches, with room for both deeply integrated systems and standalone AI services. Bhargav, how do you see this evolving over the next few years?
I mean, my thought is that anybody who has access to a large amount of data is going to win, because I think how to compute and what to make out of that information, that people have cracked that, but now feeding that computation with the right kind of data is important. And looking at Apple, they have hardware and they have control over so much more data than OpenAI. Just looking at this point, I feel if Apple can get their foundational models right, they can beat OpenAI in the AI space.
That's a really sharp insight. Access to a vast amount of personal contextual data combined with hardware integration definitely gives Apple a unique advantage in the AI space. If they can indeed nail those foundational models, they could certainly become a dominant force. Do you think a focus on privacy will limit the type of data they can utilize for those models?
Apple's core philosophy has been privacy, and out of the all the tech companies, tech companies that are there, Apple currently Apple is the most trustable company because people trust them most with their data. May not be 100%, but out of the because the bar has been set so low by other tech companies, Apple is on the top of most trustable companies, and to maintain that tag of most trustable companies at by the end users, Apple must have strong guardrails to guard the data of the end users. And when they have these guardrails, they will not be able to process all the data that is generated by the users, and that is going to limit how they use the data to train their AI models.
That's a profound perspective, Bhargav. You've hit on the very essence of Apple's delicate balance, using privacy as a major selling point while simultaneously restricting the volume of data they can legally gather for training their foundational models. It's a trade off that shapes their entire AI strategy. Bhargav, what do you think the consequences would be if Apple were to relax those privacy guardrails in order to be more competitive with other AI giants?
I think this is a double-edged sword for Apple. One way they have to compete with other AI led companies and then build their foundational models. And the other side is they have to maintain the trust of the end user that they have earned so hard. So if they try to relax the privacy things around the user data, they will definitely lose some of the trust use people have on them. At the same time, they need to get more data to run into their foundational models so that they can train it. So finding a delicate balance between the amount of data they want to use or deregulate so that that can be used by the foundational models would be one of the most important decision points for Apple in the coming years to come.
That is a brilliant and very accurate way to phrase it, Bhargav. You've perfectly highlighted the core challenge Apple faces in navigating this new AI landscape. It's going to be fascinating to see how they handle that balance in the years to come.
Yeah. I want to talk about just in general Siri AI. It feels currently that Siri AI may be one of the most important products since the iPhone that has been launched.
That's a powerful assessment, and you're definitely not alone in feeling that way. By transforming Siri into a deeply integrated, intelligent agent, Apple is trying to redefine how we interact with technology, much like the iPhone did for mobile computing. Do you think this shift will make dedicated AI devices less relevant in the future?
It depends on how the Apple cracks the market. If Apple is able to penetrate deep into more users and people start using this AI features within the Apple ecosystem, Siri AI within the Apple's ecosystem, then I feel it might be a dent on the standalone AI devices that are coming up. But I have one more query. When we say standalone AI devices, are we talking about this Rabbit MQ or different kind of devices?
You're on the right track. When we talk about standalone AI devices, we mean dedicated hardware like the Rabbit R1 or even smart displays, smart glasses, and health wearables that don't depend on a smartphone to function. These are designed to act as a separate context aware assistant, offering a different way of interacting with AI.
I think that's all I had on this discussion on AI, Siri plus AI on Apple WWDC 2026.
It was a fantastic discussion. We covered some really important points about the future of AI and how Apple is balancing privacy with innovation. Thanks for sharing such insightful perspectives on these topics.